everyone, my name is Carlos. Welcome to My Life Without Limits. Another great episode coming up here with another wonderful guest. But before I do that, before we introduce our guest, in this case it will be my co-host who will be introducing the guest. But I want to welcome her first and say, hi Leah, how are you doing today?
Hi, Carlos. I'm doing very well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's always great to
Good.
see you. It's like the bright sun that I get to
Oh,
see every day.
stop.
No, I'm not kidding. It's true. It's great to see you, even though we're
Stirring me
basic
up for
we're
something.
we're basically we're basically neighbors actually. Like
We are.
she's basically right behind me here,
And you're right
and
behind me.
and I'm behind her. So it's basically we're basically neighbors, and we see each other
Yeah.
pretty much almost every day when she comes to the office
Yeah.
every day, and
Mhm.
sometimes we she doesn't, but that's okay. She comes
All
on
right.
different days. Hey,
Fine.
it's all
I'm an
right.
adult. I can do what I want.
You can definitely do what you want for sure, because you're definitely an adult.
That's
Uh,
right.
uh, how are you feeling today, Leah? How's things good? Things are
Yeah,
good.
really good. I'm feeling spring in the air and I'm excited for it.
Yeah,
I
spring
do
is
find that it helps put a little spring in my step, actually. Like I get home and I feel like I want to do more things when normally I get home and
yeah, and then don't you
it
feel
just
like you're a
helps.
little bit quicker, maybe? I'm not
Yeah.
saying for those of you
Oh,
guys.
just it's that spring in your step where
Yeah,
you just feel a little bit better, I
yeah,
guess.
exactly.
Yeah.
You kind of feel more energetic and
I
everything.
enjoy spring. Yeah.
And I do enjoy spring too. I think it's one of my favorite seasons.
Hmm.
After probably before summer, actually, I like it more than
Yes.
summer,
Yeah.
in my understanding. But Leah, you were able to speak with a wonderful guest that
Yes.
we both know, and we both have the pleasure of knowing. Uh,
Yes.
uh, I would like for you to introduce her and pretty much tell our audience how do you get to know each other. So
Yes. Well, I went to a few weeks ago, went to the premiere of A Push on CBC. Please tune in Friday nights, 8:30, and you can also stream on CBC Gem. There's a poster right behind me. And I sat down at a table with our friends from Voice of Albertans with Disabilities, and I met a young woman named Michelle, who then I found out had worked with us. I don't remember if I was working with the organization. I think we concluded that I might not have been, but you were, Carlos, so you worked
mm,
with Michelle.
thank
And
you. I
I
appreciate it.
said, hey, we need to get to know each other and you need to come on our podcast because I know everybody has a story. And I wanted to hear Michelle's story. So Michelle, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. I
I'm so
appreciate
glad.
it.
Yeah,
No,
thank you so
so
much,
glad.
Michelle. Thank you
Yeah,
that we get to see you again and
yeah,
get to have you here. So
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here.
I love Voice of Albertans with Disabilities. So I was very excited to hear that you work with them because
Yeah.
always connecting over social media and everything. And you
Mhm.
guys do some great work. So yeah, I wanted to have you on so I could just learn more about you. So could you, I don't know, introduce yourself a little bit and let us know where you're from, a little bit about your disability and what
Yeah.
and all that stuff. Let's just get to
Well, yeah. Well, I was born right here in Edmonton at the U of A hospital.
know. Okay.
So I'm a true Edmontonian, born and
Me too.
raised here. Um, Yeah, and I grew up here and went to university here at Concordia College. Well,
Okay.
it's now a university,
yeah,
but
Right.
I've been there twice. And yeah, paved my own path here actually. So
Yeah. Yes, that's right. You kind of just, yeah, paved
yeah.
your own path. That's exactly a great way to say it. And I went to Grant MacEwan and I started Grant MacEwan when it was a college, but I graduated when it was a university. So I felt
Mhm.
very lucky that I was
Mhm.
able to then say I was a university graduate.
Well,
what do you
that's what happened to me too. I
Oh,
started
cool.
off at Concordia when it was a college, and then
Yep.
by the time I graduated, it was a university.
Oh, cool.
what did you
Yeah.
graduate with, Michelle?
Pardon?
What did you graduate with?
I graduated the first time I got my Bachelor of Arts in psychology.
Okay.
Because at that time, I really wanted to go into psychology and become a psychologist and all that. But my path kind of got diverted here and there. So, yeah.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens. It
That
happens.
happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, now what are you doing with Voice of Albertans with Disabilities now?
So I'm their education coordinator. So
Mhm.
what that entails is that I make contacts with different schools, and now a lot more businesses are wanting disability awareness presentations, which I give. So I do all the background work, like the emails back and forth, setting it up, tailoring. We tailor each of our presentations to the audience.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work to do that. And I have a team that helps me. I've built a team since I've started. And so I do the base work, and we come together and so kind of go through it together and get different eyes on it and really tailor it to that audience that we're presenting to. And then I send the thank yous and keep track of numbers and all that kind of stuff too.
Oh, great.
So, yeah. And actually, my coworker, Sam Mason, she's our accessibility. Yes, she's our accessibility coordinator. Her and I are starting to do a lot more together with accessibility. Yeah.
Are you getting into some activism or some advocacy, I should say, some
Well,
advocacy?
more so presentations for businesses.
Great.
And they're really interested in accessibility. And what people might miss is accessibility is not only the physical environment, it's the attitudes and that come with it.
Excellent point.
So, yeah.
So you and Carlos pretty much, like, that's what Carlos does too he's the education coordinator and does a lot with cerebral palsy specific, but also sometimes go in and talk about bullying and just disability awareness in general too.
Yeah, and
to help people understand better.
That's exactly what I do too. We have a whole section in the presentation to do with bullying, because a lot of people think bullying is the physical aspect, right? The beating up, the pushing, but it's so much more than that.
There's a psychological aspect too, right?
Yes.
The whole, sometimes people, and I find, sorry for interrupting, Michelle, but I find that bullying is more, sometimes words hurt more than the actual pushing or the actual punching or the actual pulling the hair or all those type of bullying that you can find in schools or you can find in even in high school, because some people are like that, and I heard, not to pick on women because I love women, those who know me, but I heard that if you go to an all girls school, girls can be really mean when it comes to bullying and
they're catty. They can be really catty.
They can be really so sometimes, like I said, sometimes the words can hurt more than the physical aspect to it, and I think that's important to tell people. So.
I found what hurt me most growing up and with the bullying was the exclusion.
Yes. Yes.
That was the worst. Absolutely. And it happened all the way through with certain things, right?
Now, sorry, go ahead, Lena.
I just don't know this. I just posted, my daughter goes to Dr. Margaret Ann School here at Edmonton, and they're very inclusive, but I didn't know how inclusive they were until recently. And they've got one of our clients, Michaela, wanted to be on the cheerleading team. Right. And her mom was a little bit like, I don't know. I put the story on our Facebook and our Instagram. I cannot believe they put her in on this team. She's been to competitions. They've arranged for transportation to make sure she can get there because she's got cerebral palsy and is in a wheelchair. 100% included her on this cheerleading team. And I was like, this story needs to be told because it needs to be shown how easy it is. Because cheerleading, I mean, that's not, you don't think, but
Yeah.
She did it.
Well,
They did it.
that wouldn't be my pick, but anyway, that's good for
No?
her. No.
I
What
think
would be your pick? What would you be interested in?
yeah, what
Well,
would you be interested
I
in?
was a horseback rider for a number of years.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
And that is
Yeah.
really good for therapeutic reasons
Balance
as
too.
well, right?
Yeah, yes, and also confidence. And
Yeah.
you know, I was in control of this huge horse,
They are huge.
you know. And when I was about 16, I got into weightlifting
Oh,
and a
wow.
walking group, and I rock climbed, and I
nice.
was really physically active when I was younger.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, are you still doing it?
Well, the horseback riding, I only stopped about 5 years ago.
Okay.
Okay.
So I did it from 11 up until in my 40s. I'm not going to
Nice.
say exactly what age, but yeah, I did that for a long time. And you know what? Horseback riding is ageless. So if
Yes.
I
Yes, absolutely
decide
is.
to go back, I can,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you find it help you? I don't like to sidetrack, but did you find it help you with your balance a lot when it came to
Oh,
a horse?
did it
Yeah.
ever?
Okay.
And also, the way the horse walks mimics a human walk. So I got that nice natural feeling of walking.
So
Mhm.
that's
Like,
probably why.
like, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, because I don't, well, Carlos knows this all too well. We don't walk
Mm.
like everybody else. We don't get that natural rhythm going when we walk.
Yes.
yeah.
But on a horse, you have that natural rhythm.
Mhm.
So your body kind of knows what it's like then, right?
That's right. And is
That is-
cerebral palsy your
Yes.
diagnosis? That's what you, yes, I
Yes.
thought maybe, yeah.
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 Could you explain a little bit about how did you develop cerebral palsy? Were you premature? We all know that mostly
Ye-
it was when from the birth onwards, right? But were you
Right.
premature, or could you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah. What had happened is my mom was in labor with me,
Mhm.
and she had quite significant lower back pain with me. And I was my mom's second kid. So she knew what it all felt like, right?
Mhm.
And she, the nurse decided to give her some Demerol just before I was to be born. And my mom told the nurse that no, the baby's coming. Like, you can't do this. But she did it anyway.
Mhm.
And the Demerol slowed down my heart and it slowed down my lungs.
Interesting.
So when
Oh,
so when I was born, I had blue lips and stuff.
yeah.
Mm,
So I wasn't a preemie. I was actually 10 days overdue.
10 days
Oh,
overdue. Okay.
wow.
So for the whole 9 months, I was fine.
Yeah.
And it was right at my birth that it
Oh,
happened. And they whisked me away to work on me and get me breathing.
Mhm.
And I was gone for a couple hours, I guess.
Really?
And then when everything was okay, the doctor came back and told my mom that I was fine.
Mm,
And I didn't get diagnosed with CP until about a year and a half later, a year
Right.
later.
right.
Yeah.
and did they link it right away to what had happened?
Yeah, because my mom knew something.
Knew, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Moms
Moms
know.
know.
You're
Yes,
right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Mom's absolutely. They have
Interesting.
this sixth sense,
Uh-huh.
of what happens with the baby,
Yeah.
right?
Did
Mostly
Yeah.
feel
mothers.
right to her.
I mean, Leah, you know, you're a mother, and you know you have a
Yeah.
sixth sense on
Yeah.
you know on
Oh my
kids.
goodness.
But my parents, once they found out, they were very, very good.
Yeah.
My dad, I also sidetrack here for a minute. I also work at the U of A with the occupational therapy students.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
cool.
Yeah, what they learn on paper, they get to practice on me. So I
Nice.
client
Really?
educator, basically. But I tell them, my dad was my first OT because he was a machinist millwright and he built me things to help me walk. He saw that my right side was dominant, so he did exercises with me to help make me use my right hand. Like Smarties were my favorite when I was a kid. Like I loved Smarties. So he would go buy me Smarties, spill them out on the kitchen table and say, "You want them, you get them yourself." And
That's
I
amazing.
would, right? And my mom actually was, because of my mom, I didn't have to go to speech therapy because she saw I was trying to talk and I was having trouble, and she would sit and form the words and I would watch her.
Oh,
Yeah.
Isn't wow? Isn't that's just amazing how family is and
Yeah.
how fathers. When you were talking about your dad building stuff for you, I remember my dad just dismantling walkers so I can work better, change the walkers to different textures. That's what dads just use. They just click in their heads. This is the way we need to do it for our children, for our sons. This is the way we have to do it. And then with the patience of your mom, it's the same thing with the patience of my mom. You know, sitting down and spelling the words for you, you know, so you can actually read or know how they move it. Mimic it. That's just incredible.
Well, if it wasn't for my parents, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah.
You know,
Parents have to do that stuff sometimes because there's not always the best services, or you can't find them, or they're out of reach or not affordable. There's so many things that can come up against you. So sometimes parents really have to get creative and just do things themselves. That's amazing.
Well, Glen Rose was my second home for a long time.
I bet it was. Yeah.
It was.
How long did you attend at the Glen Rose? Do you remember?
I started at Glen Rose doing play school because I needed the physical therapy, right? So I was 3 years old when I started, and my last year was grade 2. So I was about 7 when I left the Glen Rose.
Yeah.
But then there were yearly checkups. Now I'm an outpatient at the Glen Rose. So
So you're still a patient, but you don't go there every.
No, just when I have
Just
appointments there.
yes.
You can just go in those doors and I'm here, everybody, and everyone knows you and you know where you're going, right?
Yeah.
You're like a celebrity.
I am not. I wish.
No, great facility there.
Yeah, it
They're
is.
great.
I even went down to the old, they call it Glen East now, because that's where my classroom was and stuff. So I went down to check it out one day, and it brought back a lot of memories, I'll tell you.
I bet it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of good, like through school and stuff, a lot of good memories, or did you experience some bullying?
I did, especially in junior high.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The girls, talk about the girls.
Junior high is the worst.
Oh. And it was like passive aggressive. It wasn't, it just, but once I got to high school, everyone had pretty well accepted me, and I was just Michelle, everyone's friend.
That's nice.
Which made dating hard because I was everyone's friend, but that was okay.
I know.
I concentrated on school. From that, because I wanted to get into university, so I needed those high marks.
You needed high marks.
Get in, right?
Yeah. I know. I was everyone's friend in high school too. I know.
Oh, like it was like the people in school were fine with me in school. I was in contacts in school.
Yeah.
But going out on a date with me and taking me out of contact, they didn't know how to handle that.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
Isn't that could you give us an example of what happened? So I know Leah likes to talk about the love life or the dating life, but in this case, could you give us an example of what happened when you were on dating, because as you're saying, with me is I relate to you because it's hard to go dating, it's hard to be like, oh, I really like this girl, it's really attractive or something, and then you're like thinking, is she gonna back out because I have a CP, or is he gonna back out because, how was your dating life and that? And can you give me
Well, I actually didn't start dating until I was 20. And my first boyfriend was out of school. I met him, he was a volunteer at horseback riding. But I knew the guys found me attractive in school because of comments my friends would hear and tell me. And one time in junior high, this is a real girly thing that I did here. But I had a crush on this guy in my class, and I was sleeping over at a friend's house, and her and him were friends. And so she called him to kind of ask him about me and how he felt about me.
Oh my God, I can feel the anxiety right now.
And
oh my God.
And my friend, and I was listening on the other phone.
Yes.
And my friend asked him, well, would you ever go on a date with Michelle? And he said, well, how would she get in the car? You know,
See?
that kind of thing.
Minor
right?
details, guys.
Yeah.
Completely
And
minor.
I said to her after, he's seen me get in a car. What the hell, you know? But yeah, so stuff like that, right? You know?
Were you in a wheelchair all through high school? Like, have you always, or
No,
is this?
no, I've always walked. I got my scooter about 12 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But like Carlos, I walked pretty much everywhere. Yes, I had a standard wheelchair and I used it when necessary.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But I didn't like, and I still don't like being in my standard wheelchair because I've only got one good hand and arm to work with.
Yeah.
I can't wheel myself, so someone has to wheel me. And people always talk to the person who's pushing me.
Exactly.
Right?
Which is
I find when
not
I'm
cool.
using my scooter, yes, it's not cool. I talk about that in my presentation too.
Good.
But when I'm using my scooter and off on my own and stuff, I seem to get more respect when I'm using my scooter because I'm alone. I'm independent. I'm, yeah. But as soon as that person is behind me, I'm invisible.
That's exactly it. That's why it's hard to be in a. People are like, why do you don't use a manual wheelchair, Carlos? And people will push you. It feels awesome when people push you, and I'm like, no, it doesn't, because you become invisible, as Michelle is saying. You're the secondary person. The main person who's pushing you are like, oh, this guy's not nice because he's pushing this person. I'm like, hello. Like, I'm here.
The only time I could handle someone pushing me is when my nephew was really little and he wanted to push Auntie. I mean, that was okay, right? But yeah.
Nieces and nephews are allowed to do anything they want.
They are.
As long as they don't crush you on the wall, eh?
Well, he did some of that. Yeah. He couldn't see over my head. But, or, like, quite often, my mom will kill me if she hears this. But, quite often we went to West End. We lived in the West End together. And I was still living at home. And we would go to West End and we bring my standard wheelchair for me to use. And quite often she'd be pushing me down the mall hallway and she'll see something in the store, leave me right there and go look at it. And I'm like, Mom,
Isn't that bad? Like, I had that experience in the airport. One guy was just pushing me like that, and just leaving me in my wheelchair and then texting and then he was pushing again. That's just it just
Oh,
horrible. It's absolutely
oh,
horrible. Horrible. So I know
It
the
is.
feeling, Michelle.
Yes. So as soon as the first time I went out with my mom after getting my scooter,
yeah.
I think it was West End again. We were walking along and stuff, and she went to look at something. She just walked off to look at something, and I kept going.
Yep. You're like, all right then.
And she's
Bye,
like,
Mom.
"Where are you, Michelle?"
Yeah.
Doesn't
That's
feel
funny.
so good, does it, Mom?
You're
Yeah,
like
exactly
you're
right.
like payback, Mom. I'm sorry,
Mm.
payback.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
exactly.
exactly it. Oh, that's
Yeah.
funny. Do you live with your mom or are you on your own?
No, I live in art space.
Oh,
Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, one of our
Yeah.
clients lives there, Ken. Shout out to
Oh,
Ken. I
Ken
think
Thomas?
yeah, Ken Thomas.
Yes, Ken
Uh,
is well known over here.
Ken Thomas. Shout out to Ken. He lives in that same building, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
What's so unique about art space? I don't like the part of the city it's in. Not a great area. But the building itself is, I think, a percentage of its units are adapted.
oh, okay.
And the rest are accessible, like wider doors, wider hallways, light switches a bit lower, electrical sockets a bit higher. And also, Art Space is a cooperative, and we own our own little home care company
Okay.
right in the building.
So
So there's
what does that entail? A home care company in the building.
in the building. Well, of course, you have to apply for
Yeah.
it, right?
Uh-huh.
And I didn't apply for it until a year after I moved in because I didn't need it right then.
Okay.
And then I got this job and I didn't have the energy to do everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they reassessed me and I qualified for 2 hours of homemaking every month. So they divided up half an hour per week, right? So they come in once a week and do vacuuming, washing floors, stuff like that. All the stuff I used to do and don't have the energy for anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah. And that's why I wanted to move in here in the first place. Because at the time we moved in, I was fine. I was good. But I'm aging with a disability and things are cropping up.
Yeah.
And like I was recently diagnosed with osteoarthritis in my right hip. So walking is even more difficult now.
Does it hurt?
And
Does it hurt also?
yeah. Yeah, I'm scheduled for a cortisone shot next week, my first one. So I'll see how it works.
I've heard it, yeah, but everybody's different, but I have
Yeah.
good things. Yeah.
So, and that's why I wanted to move in here because I knew I would eventually need more help.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Michelle,
Not that I like to admit that, but
well, of course, but
it's reality.
yes,
Right?
and
it is reality.
that brings me to two questions. The first question is, do you feel like, because as a person with a disability, if you need help, sometimes you feel like your independence is being taken away, right? So how do you cope with knowing that you need help and you're not stubborn like myself, who is a little bit
I'm stubborn.
right? Oh no, I know you are, but you finally realize that you need help with like little things such as cleaning or vacuuming or stuff that you get more tired than usual, right? So how do you cope with that to say I need to accept that I do need help, right?
Exactly. I just say exactly that to myself. Because it's not worth me getting hurt because I didn't accept help.
Right.
Wow.
Right?
There you go.
And I have fallen quite a few times actually I put a hole in my bathroom wall because I've fallen.
Oh,
And it's not worth it.
yeah.
I've had so many concussions in my life
Yeah.
that the next one could be it, right?
Right.
And it is not worth it. I mean, yes, I'm in pain and whatnot, but I'm still active. I'm still doing so in a different way. I'm not maybe as physically active as I once was, but with my career now, I'm busier than all hell.
Yeah.
I'm working at the U of A and doing stuff like this. This is my new norm,
Your
right?
new norm of life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's good that it's good that you put it that way, because it's a great reminder even for me that this is not worth for you getting hurt or not accepting help. You know,
Well,
yes.
and also in my presentation, in our presentation, I should say, there's one slide we talk about accepting disability and where you are. And one of the things was accepting help does not make you weak. It makes you stronger.
It makes you stronger.
Because you're allowing other people to feel good about themselves too.
Yeah.
When they help you.
Good point.
Yeah.
So
yes.
and to accept help, it's hard to accept help. God, when I was young, no way. I'm fine. I'll do it myself. But now, no, it's not worth being that stubborn over and possibly hurting myself.
Thank you, Michelle, for that.
I just have to go on, right?
Yeah.
And accept that, yes, I'm getting older and physically I can't do as much as I used to. It's hard some days. It's really hard.
Oh, yeah. Leah, take notes because you're going to be helping me now from now on. You're going to be taking notes here.
No comment.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Just
No
kidding.
comment.
Just kidding.
But
No,
yeah.
It's true, because you know what, Michelle, I relate, because I do not like asking for help. I'm falling and I'm like, no, I'm fine. I can do it on my own. You know, I don't, even though I was, for example, no, was it last night? I was coming back from a presentation I did at Norquest, and I was sitting on the bus, and I wasn't able to be on the normal bus. I'm not taking that this days.
Right.
I'm taking the normal bus. So I was trying to get up and I couldn't get up. And so the guy just grabbed my hand and he's like, just grab my hand, and like basically with his eyes and his movement, basically grab my hand and pull me up. And I felt so bad because I'm like, Carlos, why you didn't do it on your own? But then at the same time, I'm thinking, well, what's wrong about receiving help? You know, what's wrong about letting the guy pull you up? You know,
and I also keep in mind that, okay, this is a bad day or a bad moment. The next one might not be so bad. I can't do this right now, but maybe tomorrow I can.
Yeah.
And it depends on how tired I am or sick or whatever. But some days I can't do stuff. And I go, yeah, but tomorrow or the next day I'll be able to do it. It can wait,
Right.
wow.
Yeah. I remember seeing something somewhere on social media once about like the battery. It's like thinking of everybody having a battery pack, and able-bodied people might have a 12-hour battery pack, but those with disabilities, they might have an 8 or a 6-hour battery pack. That we have to think of it in ways that you're capable of doing what, same what we can do, but the battery life, it's just, it takes a little more energy.
That reminds me of spoon theory.
Yes, I've heard a lot about that too.
Yeah, we talk about that in our presentation, energy levels and
having enough spoons to get you through. Yeah, I've heard that a lot. Spoonies. I've seen that a lot about on Twitter.
Yeah.
About spoonies. People should look that up. It's interesting.
It is.
People should. And I have actually looked into it, and it's actually really, really interesting. I actually wrote an article that's related to what Leah was saying. We do 3 times more energy than the average
Yeah,
person, right? So
exactly.
I wrote some information about that. Leah, you want to ask a couple more questions to Michelle?
Yeah. Yeah, just let's just touch on mental health a little bit because we like to do that. So like on your downtime, I know you're very busy, but
Yeah.
when you do have that time to kind of sit back and reflect or, you know, take time for yourself, what do you like to do for your mental health to unwind?
I like just totally relaxing and getting into a show
Mm-hmm.
and forgetting about everything else, or talking to friends on the phone, and or my mom. My mom's great.
Aw.
You know, for talking to, especially if I'm down or something, you know.
Yeah.
And I have a really good supportive network of friends,
Great.
and my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, my partner too. And yeah, it's just very supportive. We're all going through similar things,
Mm-hmm.
so we can all support each other. And the team I built for the presentations, we're all very close.
Yes, I noticed that you guys are. Yep.
So it's and the ladies at work that I actually work with on a daily basis. I mean, they're great, you
I know.
know.
Isn't it nice? We find that here in our
We
Edmonton office
find it.
here,
I was gonna say
the
Yeah.
little, because we're so little compared to the
Yeah.
Calgary office. But
Yeah.
I find that most of the time, you know, when we do get a chance to sit down and have lunch, we have the best conversations, even if it's political or we're talking about our lives and our struggles. And we
Yeah.
just have no problem coming to each other just to talk about what we're going through, you know?
Yeah. Well, one of my coworkers, her and I, I'm only in the office twice a week. The rest of the time I work from home. But when I'm there, um, I'll yell at her, "You ready for lunch?" And yeah, and her and I quite often, excuse me, we'll eat together. And
Mm-hmm.
like Margot and Sam, well, like it's really nice when the four of us can sit down and
Yeah.
eat together. But quite often, Margot and Sam are in meetings or on the
Mm,
phone, or you know,
yeah.
yeah,
Constantly doing something.
yeah,
Those
yeah,
we find like a family type of environment here in the Edmonton office with all of our staff. Even when we have new staff, we are so easy to, to mingle with the new staff, to welcome the new staff, and to make them feel like a family. I don't know
Yes.
if it is because we're a smaller office, if it is because we have great team leaders who are,
Mm-hmm.
and we all have leaders
Yeah.
leaders here
yeah,
as well, and that we're just really bond with each other, even if the
yeah,
person is new for a month or two. It's like if that person has been here for like 1 or 2 or 3 or even 10 years. I mean,
Yeah.
Leah, you can testify to that because it's so
yeah,
easy how we just relate with each other
Yeah.
and kind of have this conversation with each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And another thing I love to do for my mental health is I watch a lot of animal shows, like
Oh,
vet shows, whatever. My friends tease me. They say every time we come over, you've got some animal show on. And I go, yeah, well, I've been like that since I was a kid.
aw.
And
I do
what's
that here too. We have a TV, and sometimes when our Computabilities program is going on, and if it's like somebody's waiting for DATs or they want to sit and have a quick lunch before they go into the program, we have a TV and I turn it on, and I always turn it on to this like pet show. It's this
Yeah.
pet channel, and it just has different videos of pets, and I always turn it on to that because I feel like everybody enjoys.
Well, it's relaxing.
Mhm.
I quite often on Global News in the morning before I go off to work and stuff, I catch the Good Four, they
Yeah,
call it, and quite often it's animal videos. And
yeah.
I'm just killing myself laughing, sitting here all by
Need that.
myself, but I'm killing myself laughing. It's a good start to the day, you
It
know?
is. You need that. That's
Yeah,
good for your mental health.
that
yeah,
is
Oh, I
great.
love that.
That is
yeah.
great.
Yeah. And what about life without limits? What is your thoughts about the term life without limits? And do you feel that it applies to you? You know, how does it apply to you?
Yeah, oh, good question. I mean, as a young person, I didn't have or seem to have any limits. I
Mhm.
did everything I wanted. And now that I'm getting older and my physical capacity is limited a little bit,
Mhm.
but that's only physically. That doesn't mean I can't get online and do stuff and
Sure.
further my career. I mean, for goodness sakes, I'm taking a plain language course,
Oh,
and I just passed the second course,
awesome.
and I'm going
Nice.
on to the third course, and after that I'll be certified to translate documents into plain language.
Wow.
So that, like, your limits change.
Yeah.
What you see as limits change as you get older. And I'm in that transition right now, as we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So I mean, with all the courses I've been taking and stuff, it's limited.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or there is no limit for what I can do, because COVID, one good thing out of COVID is that everything can go online,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And like I can work from home. I don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Not that I don't like to go anywhere, because I still do.
Mhm.
But I mean, there's that option, right? So
Yes.
there are options. There's always options for myself.
Yeah.
I can always find some option for myself.
Yeah. You're right.
So,
Well,
you know,
that's a fantastic answer because I got to tell Leah, even on our previous episodes, we always get different answers and we always love what people come up with and all the
mm,
answers that people come up with. And
Yeah.
I
There's
think
no
what you
real right answer to it,
no,
I don't think. It's
no,
just,
no,
it's all
yes,
about it's different for everybody, and that's
it's
okay. Like, it can mean something totally different to me than it does to you, because I mean, we have two completely different lives.
yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
And we have two
Exactly.
different personalities and we have different, as Leah said, we have different lives. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's great. Thank you, Michelle, for being a part of the show, for reaching out, for being so approachable to Leah during
Yes.
that push premiere.
Yeah. I
Thank
just
you.
sat down and we just started talking. It was
Thank
fun.
you.
Yeah.
And I can imagine you guys' conversation because you guys are both very talkative. I mean, I know you, Michelle, and I know Leah for many, many years
Oh,
now.
especially when she told me she knew you. I was like, do tell. No.
I
Tell me
was like,
more about how you don't know.
well, if that was the case, I hope you guys say good things about me because
Of
I'm
course.
No, of course,
How could we
Carlo.
not?
that's
Yeah,
awesome. That's awesome.
exactly.
Well, thank you, Michelle. Thanks so much for 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 coming to the show. It
Yeah.
has been our pleasure to have you here and to learn more
Love
about
hearing
you
everyone's
and
stories.
more
Yeah.
more about your
Well,
story and more
well,
about where you're
thank
going.
you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
No,
This
no,
was
Oh,
fun.
no
good. I'm
problem.
glad that you enjoyed it, because we never know,
Yeah.
we'll just come on and chat. But you know what? Like I said, like, I'm discovering everybody just has so much. I learn from everybody. I learn something from everyone, and I'm hoping our listeners are as well. And no, I just love that people are open to coming on and talking about their stories, because they're
Mhm.
important and we need to hear them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do need to hear the stories and as Leo said, please reach out if you want to be a part of this show and
Yeah.
and make sure you spread the word about My Life with Elements podcast. The more you spread it, the more people will know about us, the more people will know about this podcast. We started it from the bottom of our hearts. We enjoy it. We
Mhm.
we enjoy every single guest. I don't think we have a guest that we didn't like. I think
Mm.
all the guests
Yeah.
we take something out of it. We took
I do like them.
everything out of all of our guests, and we love every single person of our guests. And Michelle, you're not the exception. You're a
Right.
fantastic guest, and we love to have you
Yeah, I'm glad we're
today. And
connected.
thank you so much. Glad that we
Thank
were able
you.
to connect. For all of you guys listeners, again, please make sure to follow our Instagram page, My Life with Elements Podcast, and feel free to listen to this podcast and to previous ones. And don't forget to live your life without limits. Until next time, take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.